It's very common that people will ask me, Nick, what exactly should I pair with this animal? Or what exactly is the project that you suggest I get into? Well, in today's video, we're going to be discussing just that. Stick around. My name is Nick Pulaski. Growing up, I have always had a passion for wildlife, and with that passion, along with my passion of filmmaking, I get taken on some amazing adventures creating wildlife content, getting up close with a variety of incredible animals. So come follow along as I pursue my goals of educating, inspiring, exploring, and conserving wildlife, all while having fun, seeing the beauty in our natural world. Today we're going to be answering that question that everyone had somewhere down the line in their reptile owning journey. What exactly do I work with? Or what exactly, if you're a breeder or someone that's going to start getting into breeding, what exactly do I pair with what? And that's a really good question. There are so many within those species, depending on the species, so many amazing genetics to work with as well too. And today we're going to really kick it off with one of the more popular species that people commonly ask this question with, and that is ball pythons and ball python genetic. And right here I am holding one of my albino pied males right here, and he is incredible. And this is a beautiful example of one, in my personal opinion, that is not too white, but not too much of pattern as well too. Just a perfect amount of variation in this guy to really make him look interesting, in my personal opinion. Some people like him higher in white, some people like him lower in white. This one is kind of the perfect Goldilocks situation right here, if you will, where it is just the right amount. This is a great example because we are dealing with a gene that's very overpowering albino. So albino is going to basically wash out any other coloration and pigment out there that is not more of a golden or a yellowish kind of color in these guys. As they age, it's going to turn more either yellow, it's going to maybe glow a little bit and have some of that oranges. This guy kind of has a little bit of variation and contrast here, as you can see, which I personally love too. So just some really interesting things, but it's one of those things that you have to consider if you're going to work with something like albino. Certain genes you just won't see, and they won't just be as pronounced if you work with certain things. So it's just one of those things where you really have to do your research and kind of also too figure out what genetics you personally want to work with. You know, I mean, what genes speak to you at the end of the day. The albino pie project has been something that has been with me since I first started getting into breeding, which is all the way back over 10 years ago. Now, as some of you may know, I took a long hiatus in the middle there where I just wasn't able to breed at the time because I was working on going to school, doing certain things, and I just didn't have the time and capability to breed and take on a whole bunch of babies at one time. I still kept my collection and everything kept rolling with those guys because I didn't want to get rid of the project, and I believed in certain animals and I just wanted them to grow and work with them because that's what excited me at the end of the day. But I just did not have the capability at the time to deal with vending shows, working with online sales, working with babies. I mean, it's a lot of around the clock care for sure. So knowing your capabilities up front is always an important thing as well. But if we're going back to the genetic side of things, I love this project and I still stand with this project, and I'm super stoked to be working with this project into a full capacity this coming year in hopes to personally produce my own albino pieds, just as bases, but also adding some other genetics into the mixes as well, which is going to be super exciting. So I'm super stoked about that. It's been a long time coming, but I mean, 10 years in the making for me personally. I am so excited for the payoff for sure. I mean, there are so many albino pieds out there, but for me personally, I want to produce them myself. I love the combination. I believe in the combination in terms of what I want to do with the combination. So I'm just going to keep setting forward with that project because that is something that has always intrigued me from the get-go. And again, it's all about working with the genetics that you personally want to work with at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, you're the ones that are going to be working with these animals around the clock, and you're going to be taking these animals out, cleaning them, dealing with them, feeding them 365 days of the year. So you want to make sure that you're appreciating these animals for what they are and excited to work with these animals, because if that's not the case, probably not something you should work with. Now, don't get me wrong, it is also too something that you want to realistically think about in terms of a financial sound decision for some people as well too. Obviously, there is some money that's involved with breeding projects, so you want to make sure that you are making sound decisions in terms of what the market is essentially trying to go for. So say for example, spider. The spider gene is something that normally people are not wanting to work with nowadays, so it's probably not a sound decision to invest in a whole bunch of spider combinations. And some people don't like pastel in certain mixes and this, that, and the other. I personally love pastel. In my personal opinion, I have pastel stuff that I personally love, but some people just don't like certain genetics. So I mean, you gotta just kind of understand what the market wants and what is going to be in abundance versus what is not, and what can you personally make that you think is going to be unique as well too. That's what's important at the end of the day, is working with the projects, again, that you believe in, that you want to see thrive and work forward, and really just have a plan that's longer than 1 year of breeding. You want to have maybe a 3 to 5 year plan of breeding projects that you personally think are going to be really, really fun to work with. No matter the species, whatever you're working with, you want to make sure that you're in it for the long game for sure. It's just so easy for this example to talk about this when it comes to ball pythons, because there are so many different variations of morphs out there in genetics that it makes it really, really simple to kind of talk about this project. But this can go for anything. This can go for gecko species, this can go for tortoises, this can go for really any sort of thing that you're trying to get into for sure. But yeah, the ball pythons is definitely something obviously I have the most of and that I'm working with, so this is something for sure that I wanted to make sure I was making sound decisions on, that I personally was overall the most invested in, because at the end of the day, that's what matters most. And truly, while we're on this topic too, people are going to know, right? If you truly aren't believing in a project, people can just kind of figure that out. If you just kind of got into something for money reasons or anything, people kind of will sniff those things out, and they may just be like, okay, this person's just kind of going for a money grab. Not necessarily a bad thing per se. There are obviously reasons to try to make a living off of these things, and some people do this full time. I personally do not, but at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're not coming off as someone that's just trying to make money and only sees a dollar sign when they pick up these animals. This is living and breathing art right here, and you got to appreciate it for what it is, and it's not just a dollar sign. When I come in here and I open a tub, I don't think of them as dollar signs. I don't think of the prices that I paid for these guys. I think of them as, wow, did I really get lucky owning this amazing animal, and I'm appreciating it for what it is. I mean, it's just incredible, just appreciating these guys, looking at these guys, just enjoying them for what they are at the end of the day. That's what's most important. Now let's discuss the other end of things, which is going to be, what species should I technically get into? Well, that's going to be something that's very, very open-ended. There's a lot of different questions that you should ask yourself beforehand. And truly, too, a lot of research that gets involved with any of this, whether it's the genetic side of things, if you're trying to work with a breeding project, or if it's a species that you're trying to work with, you want to make sure that you're doing all the research possible to make sure that you're making a sound decision before you invest into an animal that you personally cannot take on, and you realize that you have bitten off more than you can chew. So you want to make sure well ahead of time that you are getting into a species that you can for sure confidently that you can take care of the animal for the lifetime of the animal. And I think that's the biggest thing at the end of the day. Talking to other people about the projects that they're working with and why they love working with these projects, seeing the examples of why they work with some of these projects or what they're most excited about in up and coming, like treading new territory and just being trailblazers, that's going to be exciting. But also too, on the species side of things, talk to people as well too that work with certain species and ask, why do you like working with the species, or why don't you like working with this species? That is very important as well too. And just kind of getting a nice variety of answers that are cut and clear to you on why that species is going to be something that is for you or not for you at the end of the day. Because there is no reptile that's going to be exactly the same as every other reptile out there. You could own ball pythons currently, that doesn't mean you can own veiled chameleons or chameleon species as well and treat them the exact same way. That's not going to happen. You're not going to have success that way. So you have to make sure that you're doing your research properly, depending on species to species, what you can take on and how to care for it properly. There you have it, guys. I just thought this would be a fun little video just discussing these types of things, because I was getting a couple questions this week about that, and I appreciate everyone that reaches out and asks me these questions. I really appreciate you guys. It's so cool to interact with the community and work with you guys in terms of figuring out what works best for you guys, along with all your other questions too. Always feel free to reach out to me as well too. As always, guys, I truly appreciate you guys. It's just a joy to do these videos, share with you guys all these different things, and having the examples like these beautiful animals here to express my personal passion and love for is definitely something that I love to express with you guys all across the globe. So that really is something that is the cherry on top for me. So otherwise, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. If you guys could do me a few favors, like the video, subscribe to the channel, I greatly appreciate it, as well as hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Definitely check us out also too on our social media as well too. We'll be updating some fun things there as well too, so definitely stay tuned on there. And also too, if you guys could leave your personal opinions down in the comments as well of why you personally work with the species that you personally work for, or you breed the certain species and genetics that you personally breed, we all want to hear those as well too, so definitely leave your opinions down below. Who knows, your comment could help me and other people out there too in giving them a brand new perspective on certain species or different breeding projects as well. So if you have something on your mind, share it down below for sure. As always, guys, I appreciate you. Thank you guys so much again for watching, and until next time, we will see you guys soon. Take care.